Wow. The cards are really getting messed up here. Hello, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Gemini energy. And we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people can be at different emotional maturity levels in their Gemini energy. And Gemini has to do with our dualistic free will nature. And the truth is, some people in their free will are more about themselves, more about the world, making other things that they think will make them happy and be the answer to any issues they have, not seeing the truth that love is the answer, or being more just or fair, or treating other people the way they like to be treated, just being more balanced within themselves, and they're kind of tipped out of balance. And some of them, they just have lessons to learn, and they haven't learned those lessons in life yet about being illuminated to the truth. But some people, they know that they have the option and could do love and be more just and fair. Oops. Oh. And some people don't want to do that. You know, some people don't want to be just and fair. Some people don't want to treat other people the way they like to be treated. So, anyway, we're going to see what's going on in Gemini energy. This might be something that Gemini energy at large might be dealing with right now, so it might more affect people who are a Gemini sun sign or have significant Gemini placements in their chart, but we all tap into Gemini energy because we've all got our dualistic free will nature. And what is our truth? Gemini is air sign energy, and it kind of has to do with what our truth is, what we love. Do we love ourselves to the exclusion of others and then think other people should love us and make their life more about us? Some people do. Some people love the world. Some people love all the things they indulge in. And some of those things are more important to them than love. So we just need to see the truth about the different people we deal with in the world. Okay. So I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Page of Wands, which can represent all three of the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, which can be, Aries can be how much are we about ourself. Leo can be our more egoic nature. And Sagittarius can be if we're more immature, we've learned lessons in life. And some people just got a lot of lessons to learn, and they could be quite immature. Regardless of how old they are, they could be more codependent in the page energy. And other people have kind of learned these lessons in life, and they've tempered their being more about themselves and their more egoic nature to align with their more harnessing those energies and more hopeful, believing nature. They've learned these lessons in life in their Sagittarius energy, and they know that life is all about learning these lessons and want to go on an adventure. Everybody wants to go on an adventure, maybe, in the Page of Wands. It's just that the more worldly, shadowy people still have their philosophy of life, and they're going to go do what they're going to do, and other people are like, I don't want to repeat some of those old patterns. I've already been there and done that, and I've learned lessons from those life experiences, and I'm ready to go on a new adventure. And then at the heart of the reading is the Knight of Swords, which is Gemini energy. People are going to be inspired by their truth. And at the end of the story is the Two of Wands of Aries energy. You know, again, the Two of Wands can talk about, I have a dream. And again, some people's like, I have a dream. I am defending my more immature nature and being more about myself, or being more fired up by these things of the world is the most important thing. And high vibe energy is being more balanced within yourself. Do we want some of these things of the world just like other people do? Yeah. But we're more balanced within ourselves, that I don't want to be in friendships and relationships and jobs that I don't like. And you know, I want to be in relationship and be in friendship and jobs and career fields that I enjoy and that I like, and where people are loving and encouraging and supportive. And some other people, they're not loving and encouraging and supporting people, some of them. And they think you should indulge them anyway. And other people haven't learned to stand up for themselves against their more shadowy, immature nature. So their more shadowy, immature nature, and then all the people in their life that kind of represent their more shadowy nature also manipulate them. And until they're willing to stand up to their own shadow nature, and kind of Gemini can be about, again, what we love, to love themselves and their more creative, inspired nature, to get out of their defensive nature, or immature nature, or self-indulgent nature, or letting the world and their ego and all these other things manipulate them, they're going to keep doing it. You know, you have to be willing to see the truth and stand up to your own shadow nature. I'm not going to let my more shadowy nature run my life. My fear, my insecurity, my lust, my greed, my pride, my ego. But we will do that until we learn some hard lessons that, shit, this isn't working out the way I thought, you know? And some people haven't learned those lessons like some other people have. So we start out with the Judgment card, and the Judgment card can talk about, you know, everybody has free will to live their life whatever way they want. There will just be natural kind of consequences that happen in your life, right? If you're more immature, defensive, bossy, controlling, more high vibrational people are going to be defensive to you in turn, right? Some people keep thinking, no, they're just not the right person. I need to go find people who will let me be more immature or bossy and controlling, or more about me, you know? Or if I'm more about the world, I just need to go find other people who are more about the world, which would be good. Yes, go try to find people who are more like you if people are like that, right? But the thing is, shadowy people can keep not wanting to see the truth, even though life and life circumstances kind of show them this isn't probably going to work out the way you think. You can't cheat the justice system, because sometimes some shadowy, immature people, they want what other people have. Like people who grew up and matured themselves and tempered their ego and are just and fair and authentic and loving. And they're like, well, I want that. It's like, but that's not who you are. I know, but shadowy energy can be, I'll just try to create an illusion I'm that type of person. Well, they can try that, but eventually the people who are more motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness are going to call judgment on them. You know, eventually other people, you know, they can have a dream, they can be attracted to people, they can want this dream to come into reality, and for a long time they can defend it. A certain job, friendship, or relationship. But if as one person or a group are trying to move something forward, and some other people kind of being defensive and keep repeating an old pattern, because, well, we'll all keep kind of repeating a certain way of living life or viewing life or acting or behaving or whatever until we learn the lesson we're meant to learn. And then we kind of move forward in life a little differently. And while some people are trying to move things forward, the other people aren't. And eventually, you know, you can only stay in denial of the truth for so long. And eventually people call judgment on people. Because then next we have the Wheel of Fortune. And both the Judgment card and the Wheel of Fortune can talk about getting out of our fixed energy of wanting to repeat these certain patterns and staying in our comfort zone. And some people, they're like, no, I have this way of living life. I want it to go like this. Well, again, the whole thing is, if you're going to just live your life and not be in more involved relationships with other people, which is what some people could be deciding. No, I just want to be more about me. Okay, well then speak the truth and tell people that. And then if other people are willing to get in a more involved relationship when they have said, nope, I want to be more about myself, I'm kind of defensive, and underneath the Knight of Swords, which can be about kind of being defensive, is the King of Swords, and I view the King of Swords can be a person's self-protective, defensive nature. I want to be more about me. I think that's just and fair. I view the King of Swords as Libra energy, of represented by the scales of justice, of what people think is just and fair. And if some people are like, no, I want to be more about me, well, then be upfront and tell people that. But sometimes people don't. Again, they create this illusion like, no, you should move forward with me and you should be my friend, you should work here, you should date me, you should marry me. But, oh, by the way, you're not going to find out till later on that I'm really kind of more defensive and kind of immature and kind of more about me. And that's when people in their life with the Fool card and the World card, the people in their life then have to make a decision in the Judgment card. Am I going to keep moving forward with this person and kind of, in the Fool card, keep repeating this pattern with them and willing to put an end to my own dreams? And I'm willing to stay in a relationship with someone who is unwilling to ever give birth to anything new or change or grow or heal or mature themselves. It's kind of their way or the highway, or it has to be more about them, And, different strokes for different folks. There's going to be some people that are going to move forward in jobs, friendships, and relationships. It's kind of more of a mismatched relationship, but everybody kind of is at stages of life of learning lessons in life and has the free will to live their life whatever way they want. And there's going to be some people in the world that are quite much more about themselves or more inspired. Their truth is, I am motivated and inspired by making my life more about the world and the status and the ego and the image, or these things I indulge in. And there's going to be other people who are on that same page who are going to go on that journey with them. And if that's in the World card what they want to make their life about, well, so long as they both think that way, or the group of people think that way, and 50% of the people in the world probably think that way. The most important thing to be motivated and inspired by is to make our life about these things of the world and look like we have justice in the world and look like our dreams have come into reality. And that's why they get in friendships and stay in friendships and relationships and take certain jobs, because it's all more inspired to make your life more about these things of the world. And I think for the first 30 to 50 years of our life, we are pretty all caught up in our fire sign energy by these things of the world. That is, a big focus in our life. And that can really influence a lot of the decisions that we make in our life and what we defend and the actions that we take and why we get in certain friendships and relationships. Now, other people can be motivated by these things of the world that they want to manifest, like stability and security and maybe friendships, relationships, maybe marriage and children. But some people can be motivated and inspired by those things of the world, but they also are motivated and inspired by love. But, those things of the world are a big factor in our life those first 30 to 50 years. And then as time goes by, so maybe the first 30 to 50 years of our life, we could kind of be tipped more in favor of the world and, not kind of more balance within ourselves, of equally giving as importance to maybe listening to our intuition, being more hopeful and believing in ourselves, more creative and inspired, to quit being a fool for the world. And high vibe fire sign energy and high vibe Gemini and high vibe energy at large is being more independent of your more worldly egoic nature, to be tipped more slightly in favor of your more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and wanting a more balanced life. You know, if at one time I could have made my life much more about my career or, raising children, well, there's to establish your career or have that work history and raising children, that is going to be a priority in your life. Hopefully, in there, you're still being loving and encouraging and supportive of yourself and keeping focus kind of on the big picture of the goal of what you want to, that you're building towards. And then maybe as some of those journeys that we go on, because the Fool kind of talks about going on these journeys in life, just like we went on a journey of being 18 and 21 and 25. It's all part of the journey, but it's not the end all be all of it. That there's still more to the dream. And as we go through those phases of life, all those different stages we went through in life when we were 18, 21, 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever, sometimes there's been some people where we went through a phase of life with some people, and when we were kind of ready to, the world can talk about closing out a cycle, because we kind of go through these phases of life to kind of learn the lessons that we were meant to learn, and then we're kind of inspired to take that leap of faith. My tattoo. Take that leap of faith to go on the next leg of the journey. And sometimes when we have been ready to move forward a little differently, or when other people were ready, sometimes other people in our life weren't ready to move forward in that way, or we weren't ready to move forward in that way. And sometimes we kind of can lose touch, or we're not on the same page with people. So the world can be that, we're not communicating with certain people anymore. And, people could have moved, people could have went to college, people could have got married, other people didn't. And different things that, we're just kind of on different pages at different times in our life. Is it possible that we can reconnect with people at some future point in time? Sure, because it's just kind of like living parallel lives where, well, I'm going to go do this and you're going to go do that. And then maybe by chance you come in contact with some people again and you find out you're kind of on the same page. And you both could have learned lessons. And it doesn't even have to be people you already knew. You can go on your journey. Some other people weren't on the same page. And with some of those people, you'll never be on the same page again. Because your truth is different, and kind of what drives and motivates you, and what you think is just and fair. And if you're more inspired to be more creative and inspired in your life and kind of step out of your comfort zone and face your fears, or if you let your more defensive, self-protective nature keeps you kind of in your comfort zone, while other people are going to move forward in life facing, kind of working through whatever kind of manipulates them. And some people will never work through those things that manipulate them. And they could be quite happy living their life the way they live it, and to each their own. So with some of those people, we'll never kind of be on the same page, but we could have come in contact with some people at a point in time in our life, and some people are going through that right now, where everybody, at whatever stage of life, they could have had some people move on. They could have moved on from certain people. They're kind of looking for people who are on the same page as them. We might have fear of moving forward in a new phase that maybe other people did and we weren't ready, or other people repeated an old phase and we're trying to move forward. And we can come in contact with some people that at that point in time, we're kind of on the same page as them. And in fire sign energy, there can be things that can draw us and attract us to other people. And I think, we are kind of drawn and attracted to certain people because, well, for one, we might be in the same situation in life, just like, oh, well, I would never met this person if I hadn't worked at this job. And then I work with that person at that job, and you kind of get to know them. And who knew, that you kind of got some things in common, and you kind of go on this journey together, and you move forward as friends. And you'll move forward as friends for as long as you're kind of on the same page with each other, right? And sometimes those friendships or relationships can last a short period of time or decades, right? And then again, it's always like kind of, are we on the same page? Are we kind of motivated and inspired by the same things? What do you think is just and fair? What do I think is just and fair? Do I think someone's being more defensive and taking some foolish risks in a relationship? Or are they kind of more inspired to have more hope and faith and belief? And is everybody willing to get out of their more defensive nature or egoic nature, or being more about themselves to, learn lessons in life and keep moving forward together? And at any point in time, some relationships can end. And right now, some people are deciding we are going to the next phase. We've all got people in our life that, what? I do like you, you like me, or we're friends, or whatever. You're in my family. I don't want to. The world, again, can talk about closing out a cycle. I don't want to let go of this dream. I'm still motivated and inspired. Are you still motivated and inspired? Are we going to speak our truth? Regardless of if we're kind of whatever stage of life we're at, right? And some people are going to close out one phase of life to go to the next phase of life together. And other people are not going to move forward. And then we have other people in our life that we're not. That phase of life has closed out and we move forward in something different. Now, I do think that for people who are defensive to the truth, they could be trying to go on a new journey. Like, I want to look like I've moved on. I want to look like I've healed and I've grown and I've matured and I'm not interested in this or these people anymore. And they try to go on this new journey. But if you haven't really learned the lessons you were meant to learn, you can try, but it's kind of like someone applying for a job that they really don't have the qualifications for. And it probably won't turn out the way they want, because shadowy energy can be where people are trying to cheat the justice system. I want what I want. Aries energy is about the self. So anyone in their Aries energy within themselves, they don't have to be an Aries sun sign, could just be more like, well, no, I think, and shadowy kind of Libra energy is like, that anyone can harness, is that, well, I think I'm bright and I'm smart. I might not have learned some of the lessons I was meant to learn. I might still be kind of defensive to some truths. Some people might have already called judgment on me for some ways of behaving or ways of conducting myself. But I'm just going to maybe hide those things better, maybe in the next job, friendship, or relationship. And I'm going to try to move forward in a way that maybe makes me seem more just, fair, stable, balanced, or loving. Or I think this is the answer. But they're still not seeing the truth that it should be inspired by love and truth and justice and fairness. And some people still haven't learned those lessons yet. But they're going to go try to present themselves as being that type of person, like they have learned those lessons, but some of them haven't. And I think some of those people are going to go on a journey, I just don't think it's going to turn out the way they want, because you can't cheat the justice system. It is not going to be a more just, fair, inspired by truth and love relationship unless both people are authentically driven by that. And if one person is and one person isn't, the people that are motivated more by truth and love and justice and fairness and authenticity are going to indulge someone for quite a while to move it forward, but eventually they're going to see their dream isn't going to come into reality because that's not the truth of the other person. And they will end the relationship and call judgment on them. You kind of created an illusion that you're more just or fair or less about yourself, and that we were going to work together cooperatively, and it wasn't going to be more about you or repeating this old pattern. We were to give birth to something new, and that's kind of like the pages are about. Anytime you come in contact and get in a relationship with someone else, it's like you create a new energy that didn't exist, just like you can create children. But some people are like, they can want other people to kind of put more of the work and effort to make it more just and fair and stable and balanced and loving. Well, they're more immature. Well, that's not just and fair. And it's kind of like they're being a bad parent and a self-indulgent parent to themselves and in the relationship. If there's some people right now that are kind of in a mismatched relationship, some people could be calling judgment on them. But for others, some people kind of don't believe in themselves, believe in their dreams. So even if they are in a more mismatched relationship, they're going to keep indulging someone in that relationship. Some high vibe people have gotten out of some more mismatched relationships, and they cut those people out of their life who were hiding. They harness those energies in a more shadowy way. And when they were in that more mismatched relationship, the people who were a little more worldly or shadowy didn't realize that the high vibe people in their life harness these energies in a more high vibrational way. And they thought they harnessed them in a more worldly, shadowy way like them. Let's go see what those ones are. The King of Wands, the Two of Pentacles, and the Chariot in reversed. So, when we decide to stand up for ourselves, that we deserve to feel more just and fair and balanced within ourselves, and to be in more just and fair and balanced relationships, we are standing up for our more hopeful, believing inner child nature. If we're being authentic and loving and just and fair in a relationship, I deserve to be in relationships with people who treat me that way. But, sometimes, we get in relationships with people and we know it's kind of mismatched. And we might know someone in their, again, Aries energy of self and their fire sign energy can be a little bit more motivated by themselves or these things of the world, where the other person wants those things too, but they have hope and faith and belief that it will maybe get more balanced over time. And so we can kind of want to juggle the truth. Oh, I'm sure they'll become more hopeful and believing. I'm sure they'll get more balanced. I'm sure they'll quit being more defensive or about themselves or more caught up in the world. And we hope that one day, the Chariot in shadow can be where people are more caught up in the image of looking more victorious and successful and kind of presenting themselves as loving, but really actually being kind of defensive, to being more authentically loving. And we hope that they really will let that go and take that leap of faith and align with their more hopeful, believing nature. But, and the more worldly, shadowy people are thinking if they get in a relationship that's more mismatched, it's like, oh, I'm sure if this looks victorious and successful by worldly standards, they might kind of have these dreams of love and it being a more authentic, loving, just, fair relationship. And I'm sure they'll let that go and they will stay in this job or this friendship or this relationship because it looks just and fair. It looks like judgment has gone in your favor, that the wheel of fate has turned in your favor, like your dreams are going to come into reality. And in a lot of ways, your dreams have seemed like they've come into reality. But it's kind of more about these things of the world. The status, the ego, the image, being in a job, being in a friendship, being in a relationship. And eventually the high vibe people are like, but I thought we were going to do love and it doesn't seem like it's, in the chariot also, which is Cancer energy about love and love of others and balance, like the Libra energy. I thought it was going to be more balanced. Like, yes, we put in work and effort to have these things in the world, but I thought it was equally going to be inspired to be more authentic and loving. And some people could feel that the other people in their fire sign energy of self, that it's kind of a little bit more about them or kind of indulging themselves in the relationship again. This seems great. We should keep doing this. And it's like, but I don't ever feel like it becomes a more deep, meaningful relationship or more balanced. And, if we're going to work together, it should equally be about my hopes and dreams and aspirations, your hopes and dreams and aspirations, and not more deferred to of being more about someone else. And that's when some people kind of saw the truth of it and they weren't willing to put an end to their dreams. And they did speak their truth, that they wanted it to be more just and fair. And I think the high vibe people would have spoken it in the Page of Wands, trying to work together with people, appeal to people's more being authentic. I want this to move forward. But if the other people are like, nope, I'm not doing that. I want to do this. And again, it could be that, in our Gemini nature, are we more motivated and inspired? We don't have it out here yet, but it's kind of like Aquarius energy of, do I have hope and do I look at life from a higher perspective? Or do I not think there's any higher truth or justice to aspire to? The world tells us to make our life about these things. If the world told us that us looking like we're living the dream is to sit in our front yard with all these apples and bananas around us, like, oh, look how victorious and successful and how we're living the dream life, we'd be sitting out in the front yard surrounded by all these apples and bananas and eating them, And for some people, it's like, that is what it is. You're supposed to make your life kind of more conforming to the world and making it more about the world or making it more about me. Or these things that we indulge in. And other people are like, I've been caught up in the world and I want these things of the world too. But, it's not the driving factor of why I want to be involved in things. And for some people, that is their truth and why they want to be involved in things. And if they think that way, they can't understand, if they have those things or you would have those things together, why someone would put an end to that dream to let it go, something that looks kind of victorious and successful, to go do something else. To them, that doesn't make logical, practical sense. But if there's someone who likes to live more from their mind than their heart and kind of indulge themselves in a relationship, like kind of just having sex with people, and it's not ever going to be about love because they don't let themselves go there. Well, the people who want to do love, it's like, I don't want to be in a relationship and it's just about having sex with people. If I'm being authentic, I want to be in a relationship with someone who's being authentic. And that's what, why some people aren't willing to stay in friendships or relationships or even jobs where people could be bossy or controlling or unjust or unfair. It's like, people can create an environment that's a little unjust, unfair, or unpleasant, or a little hell on earth. And I believe in a world of duality. When someone chooses to do that, there's other people in the world who choose not to do that. They've learned lessons in life. I want to work and have a positive friendship group, a positive work environment, a positive organization. I'm going to go find the people who want to go do that. And if you want to live your life like this, and again, if you want to be defensive, then you need to go find someone who's more willing to be in a relationship with you being defensive. If you're kind of hide the fact that you kind of are more about yourself and you kind of juggle the truth and don't really want to do a more balanced relationship or loving relationship, you just need to go find someone else who's willing to do that. I'm just not that person. And so that's how some high vibe people can work through letting go of something, letting go of a dream. We put work and effort into wanting to move something forward victoriously and successfully from love, but that wasn't how it kept moving forward. It could have at one time, but then it wasn't. And it's like, I'm not going to keep doing that. And if they want to do that, then they can. But that's not my truth, but that might be their truth. So they're going to go do them. I'm going to go do me. And then as people move forward in life, everybody's kind of, when those things happen that you separate from jobs, friendships, relationships, everybody maybe could tell their version of the story and, stand up for their truth and go take action towards things that they think are more aligned with their truth. And I think, when we quit investing more of our time, energy, and effort into people who we have come to see that their truth is not the same as our truth, it opens up the opportunity for us to go on this journey in the world to go find people who are more on the same page as us. And right now, for some people who maybe not in a romantic relationship, there could be people that they could be attracted to. People who know what their truth is don't want to maybe get in a more mismatched relationship. So they're kind of, if they already know, yep, nope, that person kind of thinks like this, I believe, and I kind of think like this. Yeah, no, that's not going anywhere. I want to go find someone, or some people again, like, nope, I got out of a relationship. I don't want to do a relationship. I kind of want to be more about me. And, so if some people know some people and you could feel like you're attracted to them or kind of feel like they might be attracted to you, but people are kind of defensive to taking that leap of faith or turning their back, and other people are like, why isn't this happening? Everybody else kind of knows what their truth is, and kind of maybe by the way you live your life, people kind of know what your truth is, and, it's to accept the truth that, if I would have to be more just, fair, open, authentic, less about me, less about the ego or the image, or more caught up in whatever and temper my ego, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But there will be other people you will meet who are on that page. So I think some people are calling judgment on people, listening, have maybe been trying to be patient with some people, kind of going back and forth, hoping things would work out the way they wanted, and making those decisions in their life. This is the way I want to live my life. Is this your truth or isn't it? And moving forward with the people who they think are more on the same page as them, not maybe investing more in people who they think aren't maybe more on the same page as them, standing up and defending the people in their life who they think are more on the same page as them versus the other people in the world, because it's not their truth. But the thing is, the high vibe people did learn a lesson from this life experience, and they don't want to repeat that pattern. They did learn the lesson they were meant to learn, so they get to move forward in life. Other people might try to move forward in life, like, no, I healed and grew and matured myself too. It's like, no, you didn't, and it's probably not going to work out the way they think. The other people really did, and they're not going to repeat some poor past patterns because they learned, if I act more immature or bossy or controlling or don't want to see the truth, that it should be about love and it is about treating other people the way I want to be treated, they want to be treated, etc. More just, fair, balance, not more about ego and image. I'm going to sabotage this. And they're not faking it. They have really learned that lesson. So they are not the same person that they were before. And maybe they were more codependent and now they've learned to stand up for themselves. They're in less codependent energy than they used to be before. Because if you're in codependent energy, which I think we've all been there, you're probably going to get in relationships with other people who are happier, more codependent, and they in turn could be more codependent. But there are some people who are looking for people who they think are more codependent, who don't maybe believe in themselves and believe in their dreams. It's like, perfect, come on over. Let's get in a friendship or relationship. Work here. I love that you're in that energy. I'm glad you're more codependent. I'm glad you haven't learned lessons about people like me, male or female. And some people did learn about some people like that, and they don't want to repeat that pattern. And so now they could be more inspired to maintain balance within themselves, grew and matured themselves, more motivated to stand up for truth and love and justice and fairness than letting their more worldly nature, but damn, they're attractive, but damn, they're cute, kind of drive their decision making. No more going back and forth. It is truth and love and authenticity, less about the ego and the image. Who wants to go on that journey? And if people don't, then I'll go on that journey with the people in my life, enjoy my friends and family, and I'm not going to indulge someone in a relationship, but I'll let someone else indulge people like that in a relationship. And as some people are going on that journey, some people could kind of be hiding that they could be attracted to some people who are more high vibe, but they're still juggling. Do I want to keep being defensive? I would have to be more just and fair. I have to be more hopeful and believing. And that can be with anybody in your life. Anybody can be more defensive. Some people can be more immature. Some people, kind of their tactic is to try to control and manipulate people. Sometimes people get caught up in ego or image or status. And if high vibe people, they're going out in the world treating people the way they like to be treated, being just and fair, loving and encouraging, who wants to move forward like that? Some people are just distrustful of people because of other people they've been in friendships or relationships with. And they might want to work more together with some people, but so far they could be working with people, but kind of being a little cool and a little defensive as they're kind of trying to figure out if people really are who they say they are, or if they're just kind of putting on a show and presenting themselves as being more just and fair and loving. And as time goes by, then some of those people, it's like, okay, I'm willing to take the leap of faith to get out of my more being a little more defensive just to be friends, you know? And, you know, kind of high vibe energy offers people truth and love and are kind of authentic and loving and encouraging to get people to work together with them, but knowing that people have their free will, and the people that they see kind of keep being more defensive or more immature or more bossing or seem really imbalanced or not very loving, it's like, yeah, thanks. I see that this, yeah. I'm going to move on. You do you. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy that they might not see coming? And I think high vibe people, if there's people in their life that they had difficulty with, I would think they've probably communicated their truth to them. And, you know, what can you do? You communicate your truth and love to people, and if that's not their truth and they don't want to move forward in that way, you know, you get out of your ego about it, you quit taking action towards them, you pick up your investment in them, and you move on. Because you can only have your dream come into reality with people who are motivated and inspired to move forward in that high vibe energy, and some people aren't. And you call judgment on them, and you keep your distance from them, and you stand up for your truth, and they're going to go stand up for their truth, and you go on these separate journeys, and the wheel of fate turns, and people will experience some natural consequences. And the people who, I don't know, keep repeating some poor past patterns, I don't think it's going to go well for them. And the people who are taking action more in truth and love and justice and fairness, I think the wheel of fate will turn in their favor. And if nothing else, it's like being able to close out an old cycle with some people. What's coming up for the high vibe people that they might not see coming? The Page of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Strength card. High vibe people were willing to temper their ego nature, to be a student of life, to see the truth. So this is Leo energy, also represented by the sun, and the truth sets us free. But we have to be willing to see the truth and quit juggling the truth and wanting to stay in denial of the truth. If I want to be in relationships with people who are who they say they are, and I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy, shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. If I have freed myself from things that manipulate me and tempered my ego and kind of grown up and matured myself, and I'm kind of who I say I am, I'm not wearing a false mask, then I want to invest in other people who that is their truth. And realizing we could have invested in some people who created the illusion that's who they were, but then they're defensive to being just and fair or loving or emotionally balanced or bossy or controlling or repeat some poor past patterns that, you know, and take these foolish risks in a relationship. It shows us that they have some lessons to learn that they haven't learned. So I accept the truth of it. And I'm going to temper my ego about it, and I'm going to go invest in my truth. And I am going to, you know, I also view high vibe Leo as I am going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. Get out of more codependent energy, looking for someone to love me or be loving and encouraging to me. I am going to be like a good mother, father, coach voice to myself, to be loving and encouraging to myself. To work through my fears and my insecurities and my self-limiting beliefs, to emotionally grow and mature myself and go on this journey in life. And see the truth of who is not moving forward in that way, and look for the people who are. And the people who are the people I'm going to invest more of my time, energy, and effort into. And I think When we quit repeating old patterns, taking action more out of fear or insecurity or defensiveness, or more from our mind or lust or greed or whatever, we're taking steps in the right direction. And I think also other people know you could take action that's more shadowy or immature, and other people see you're not. And some of those people are looking for someone who doesn't repeat some of those patterns. And some of those people will want to be in friendship or relationship with you. And if some of you had to leave a job, the King of Pentacles can represent going and getting a new job, but the King of Pentacles can also just be more emotionally mature, stable, grounded people, and investing your time to become investing in yourself to become that type of person who's more tempered in your ego, more emotionally mature, more hopeful and believing within yourself, loving and nurturing to yourself, and then being that way to others who reciprocate that, seeing the truth of who doesn't, and closing out some friendships and relationships with people who don't. You know, our time and our energy is valuable and precious. Why would I keep investing my time in people who keep showing me over and over they don't want to be just or fair or temper their ego or be loving? I'm going to go find people that do want to accept what I have to offer and are appreciative of it. And the people who aren't, I'm going to wish them peace and let them go do whatever the hell they want to go do. What's coming up for some people who harness some more worldly or shadowy Gemini energy that they might not see coming? But you will be looking very stable and abundant and grounded within yourself. Other people will see you as a very stable, grounded person who's maybe not repeating some patterns that they see some other people repeating. The Knight of Wands, the Two of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, and the reason is because of the Three of Pentacles. The shadowy people don't want to listen to their intuition. They have their intuition just like everybody else. That was rude. That was mean. That was immature. That was selfish. That was bossy. That was controlling. That was defensive. Or, oh my gosh, you are so consumed by these things of the world. And their intuition could be telling them this is not probably going to work out the way you think. But they keep not wanting to listen to their intuition because their intuition is telling them to become. High vibe Nine of Pentacles can be about becoming more independent. And then from the 3 to the 9 in the 6 of Pentacles, that you shouldn't invest time, energy, and effort into these things, these activities, these behaviors, these ways of thinking, these people. You should become independent of some of those things. But they don't want to become independent of some of those things. And they kind of keep emotionally investing in wanting to be more about themselves, more about the world, stay in denial of the truth. Again, could just think, can't I be in relationships with people and I kind of be immature? Can't I just go get in a relationship with someone who doesn't know the truth about me? And I'll go work with them and I'll create an illusion that I'm more just and fair and stable and grounded and mature than I really am. The problem is sometimes they do have people in their life who are more independent, know their worth and value, who are being authentic and loving. And they think, aren't you going to chase me because you want to be in a relationship? And some people could like them, have love for them. Again, even with some people, it can just be your adult child, your brother, your sister, your mom, or your dad. It's like, yeah, I would rather not be independent of you. I would like this to work out. I would like us to work cooperatively together. But I keep seeing you keep repeating some poor past patterns and being kind of immature. And eventually some of those people, out of love for themselves, you know, become more independent of them and don't really want to keep exchanging resources and time and energy and effort with them. And they wish them peace. And it's like, I'm going to let you go do you, and I'm going to go do me. And I'm going to go invest my time, energy, and effort into people who are less immature. And just like we can do that with people in our life, some of these people, could be detaching too from some people in their life that they could feel are more immature, right? And I'm going to go invest in other people. So it's kind of relative, but, all of us, when we repeat more immature behavior and we want to, the Two of Swords in Libra energy, where we don't want to see the truth, other people kind of might see the truth of where we're kind of more immature or defensive or prideful or immature or whatever, and those people will move on from us too, and we're all at different stages in life, but I think more high vibe people in their life are going to distance themselves from them, call judgment on them. But some of these people, they keep not wanting to see the truth. Like, well, I don't have to grow up. I should be able to do these things. Whatever I do, I think is just and fair. And some of them don't want to see even the truth, that because they like to live more from their mind than their heart, that they don't really do love. And other people do want to do love. and they don't want to. So they'll go to try to find someone else who hasn't seen the truth of them and go indulge in another relationship and hope they can find someone again who, over the course of the relationship, doesn't learn to love and believe in themselves. And so it's kind of like God can use shadowy people, because we can get in relationships and people can be like loving and encouraging and supportive. But eventually we just kind of realize they don't really want to do love or kind of maybe be more just and fair. And we could have indulged them for quite a while. And then we kind of see the truth. And then people kind of learn to stand up for themselves and what they bring to the table. And it's like, I do deserve to be in a more just and fair and balanced and loving relationship, where maybe before people didn't think that about themselves, and they could have been repeating a pattern where they kind of indulge people in poor behavior. And then they realize, I'm done doing that. I am ready for a more emotionally mature, just and fair relationship. And maybe before I wasn't, and I wasn't even used to being in relationships with people that kind of treated me the way that I treat them. Well, damn it, I'm ready now. And I ain't putting up with this anymore, right? And so as more high vibe people leave their life, they keep not wanting to see where they might need to temper their ego or whatever shadowy aspect they have about themselves. And they'll just go on a new journey. But the thing is, for some of them, they were thinking their dreams were going to come into reality, and they did get in a relationship with someone who was like them. But the problem is, if you're not building a relationship based on truth and love, why are you in it? You're in it because of these reasons of the world. For the status, the ego, the image, the fear, the insecurity, the codependency, people not requiring you to grow up and mature yourself or something. And if they get in a relationship with people like themselves, well, if those people see someone else who has more status, ego, or image, it's like, sorry, I gotta go. It really is just more about me and dog eat dog world out there, and I think it's just and fair. Or they see someone who is more fearful or insecure or vulnerable or gullible. Hey, I think that person would require less of me. And I think they view me as being more mature. You already know I'm not. So I'm going to go find someone else who doesn't know the truth about me. Because they're not really in it for love to begin with. So they'll either And if they do get in a relationship with someone like themselves, that could be the risk. Or they're still, sometimes in people in their shadowy energy, it's still trying to change other people. Why keep trying to change other people? If that's not the truth of who they are, accept the truth and believe that God has a plan for your life and wish them peace and let them go live their life the way they want to live it. You know, that can be kind of like shadowy energy where it's like, well, I want to play the role of like being a parent or whatever in someone's life. It's like, really? I don't want to be in a partnership with someone who I need to discipline like I would discipline a child. But some people, because they're kind of codependent, I don't know, and not ready to be in a more mature relationship, they might keep indulging people. And we've probably all been there. And some people are still at that stage of life, and that's what they're doing. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.